agreed to promise to review his situation after this year. So if Aaron Rodgers still wants a trade after this year, he can get it.
Oh, yeah, today's the day. Packers report to training camp, and we have got some news for you. Cheeseheads, it's a good day to wake up a Packers fan, that is for sure. This is Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, and we are presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests will join us on the Goodyear Hotline. My name is Shay Cornett. His name is Jordan Cornett. We're holding it down for the guys over the next day plus. So I said it. It's a good day to be a cheesehead, and that is for sure. According to multiple reports, Aaron Rodgers has arrived in Green Bay on a private plane.
Dun, dun, dun!
The wait is over, folks. Your MVP quarterback is back in the green and gold, and I am sure fans all over the state of Wisconsin are rejoicing this morning. But how did we get here? Well, let Adam Schefter tell you.
As of last week, Aaron Rodgers' plan was not to show up to training camp and to not play this season. And the talks intensified over the weekend to the point where they offered, the Packers did, enough in the way of concessions to get Aaron Rodgers to change his stance. The stance was no go. That was the plan. And the plan changed, as it sometimes can when training camp approaches.
All right, plans change, and so Aaron Rodgers now will be with the Green Bay Packers at least for this coming year. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Jay, here are the details really quickly. The 2023 year in Rodgers' contract, the last one in his current deal, would be voided with no tags allowed in the future. Packers would agree to review Rodgers' situation at the end of this season. Chip or not chip, Rodgers' contract would be adjusted with no loss of income to give the Packers more cap room, and mechanisms would be in place to address Rodgers' issues with the team. So, all this to say, what say you?
Well, the winner in this thing is what everybody's talking about, right? The winner in this one has to be Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers get their guy, the reigning MVP, back. They now become the contenders again that everybody assumed them to be. Davante Adams probably falls in line as well,
Yep.
your top receiver. And you've got a year to try and make this thing even more amicable and maybe a stronger relationship to keep Aaron Rodgers past this season. So you satiate the desire of your fans, you make your team that contender, and you bring back the most talented player, you could argue, in the NFL, in Aaron Rodgers. The biggest win, too, for Green Bay is you found a way to communicate with Aaron Rodgers.
Congratulations.
You found a way to get through and say,
it out.
Let's work cohesively. Let's come together for the good of this football team, and let's go win some games. And getting to that point is a massive win. Now you're on a clock for 365. You got to go out there and win during the season, but you also got to find ways to prove that Aaron Rodgers should stay there after you fractured that relationship. This happened in the state of Wisconsin already once, right? Giannis was a guy not nearly as disgruntled, but had a wandering eye, and you had to prove to him you'd put together a proper team to keep him. In Wisconsin, more specifically in Milwaukee with the Bucks, they did that, and we know how it played out. Can the Packers emulate what happened with the Bucks? Let's see.
The only difference I'll say there is obviously they had to build around Giannis to help him out. With the Packers, they needed to build towards what Roger was looking for and then to help him out. Like, he wasn't asking for a ton of free agents. Yes, he wanted to sign his guy, Davante Adams. He wanted help on the offensive side of the ball. But at the end of the day, he wanted more freedom in his contract when all was said and done. But he was disgruntled up until then, I think is what you're saying.
The end of the contract, the caveats or the bullet points in there was mechanisms to address team issues.
True.
Those mechanisms to address team issues looms large in my opinion, because I think you need to prove to Aaron Rodgers, hey, we didn't go bolster this roster like you wanted. We thought your best football was behind you. We needed to secure our future as management is expected to do by going to get Jordan Love. You proved us wrong. You proved us very wrong. You turned in an MVP season, and we're on the doorstep of getting to the Super Bowl. You've clearly got a lot left. So now that you took the misstep before, now you have 365 days to prove to Aaron Rodgers, we can kind of make this thing right. Let's fix what we did wrong. We've come together to this point to secure you for one more year. Mechanisms, look at the bottom.
I see.
Mechanisms will be put in place to address Rodgers' issues with the team. Can they do that, and how, I think, becomes a big question.
Okay, so the way we started this conversation was kind of who's the winner in this situation. And the answer is definitely the Packers. However, I do think you're right. It took some communication and a little bit of compromise here. First of all, a week ago, I was sitting right in this very seat when I was reading the breaking news that the Packers had offered Aaron Rodgers 2 additional years to his contract, and that would ultimately, the way the contract was structured, would make him the highest paid quarterback perhaps in the National Football League. And what did he do? Turned it down, which was a surprise to absolutely nobody, because we knew that Aaron Rodgers didn't want longevity in his contract. He didn't care about the money. What he wanted was what he wanted. He wanted more freedom to go elsewhere. He wanted to fix, I guess, issues with the team, as you've pointed out a few times. And he wanted to have a little bit more control and understanding from the higher ups of what was going to be happening with this team going forward. And so here we are. And so in ongoing talks with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, according to all reports, it's like, well, that contract obviously wasn't what you wanted. I don't know why it leaked in the first place, because it, to me, felt like a way to kind of even further divide Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers. But nonetheless, let's rip that up. What would you rather have? Okay, a 1-year deal where then you can go elsewhere if you want to, or a 1-year deal to put all your chips in one basket and we'll reevaluate at the end? Fine. That's what we'll do. It doesn't give us longevity here in Green Bay. It doesn't keep you in Green Bay for a foreseeable future, but it does give us 1 more year to try and go out there and add another Super Bowl to your hand that you only have 1 on. Deal. So there was a little bit of compromise on the Packers side, but not a ton. And so at the end of the day, they still have their MVP quarterback, and they still have a chance to go win another championship. And so the Packers win this outright.
Okay, so you think the Packers win this outright?
Yes, but I do think there was a little bit of compromise in communication there, which should have
But
happened from jump.
You're saying Rodgers got what he wanted too, so there's a
He
win
did.
there because he got flexibility.
Yeah.
Another angle not being discussed in terms of winners and losers, because everything's black and white, it feels like in sports. There's no gray area. Who won, who lost? And we've kind of laid out that it seems like the Packers have to be the biggest winner here by getting their guy back. You know who else wins, O'Shea? The fans. We win. We win in this, because think about at the height of COVID, what we locked in for every Sunday during that however many weeks it ran for was The Last Dance, the documentary about those Bulls and Michael Jordan's last year with that team before moving on away from them, and the legend that he left there in Chicago that still looms very large. That was so riveting to watch, and we are going back in the past to relive those moments in the 90s, and we couldn't get enough of it. We couldn't get enough of the drama. We couldn't get enough of the theater. We're going to be able to have that real time here in sports with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. The Last Dance is playing out right in front of us. We know how it ended with MJ and Jerry Krause and Phil Jackson and Scotty and that crew. We don't know how this story's going to end. This is The Last Dance. The remix. That's exactly what we're getting here. What is going to happen with Aaron Rodgers? What kind of season is this going to be? Is he going to play MVP caliber football? Are they going to win a championship? Is he going to come back when it's all said and done? We don't know, but you know what we get to do? Read into everything. The looks he gives a player if it doesn't go right. Is he communicating with LaFleur? How mad is he with management? Does he still have it? All this is going to play out. I cannot wait.
That's a really good point, because it's so true. I mean, we're going to be analyzing every single thing that happens with this guy. If he tweets something cryptic, we're going to be reading into that. I mean, how many times did I reread the tweet about him congratulating the Bucks on winning a chip?